Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post. Okay, so Hollywood is not going so berserk this time over Donald Trump. They're actually going pretty silent. Things have changed a lot since 2016. From the Financial Times, will a weakened Hollywood embrace Trump 2.0? When Donald Trump won in 2016, Hollywood promised resistance. But shrinking revenues and declining influence make it less likely this time around, because all the endorsements, all the pushing, really didn't change the results of the 2024 election. From The Hollywood Reporter, why is Hollywood suddenly silent about Trump? Outside of The Apprentice, it's been an eerie quiet. And they're not just quiet about Trump. Amazon is actually investing in a Trump documentary focused on his wife, the First Lady Melania. First Lady Melania Trump signs Amazon movie deal as Jeff Bezos' own Prime rides MAGA red wave. From The Hollywood Reporter, Brett Ratner to direct Melania Trump documentary for Amazon. The documentary, which is being filmed with Trump's cooperation, will be released later this year. Looks like they're trying to make friends with Trump or something like that. Did you know in 2018 there were some really strange things going on, and clearly before 2018, but we heard about it in 2018. From Yahoo Entertainment, Moby, the musician, says CIA agents asked him to spread the word about Trump and Russia. But that's kind of strange. Like, what are CIA agents doing contacting Moby, the musician, and asking them for help with Donald Trump? From Yahoo Entertainment, Moby says he's spoken to CIA agents who believe Trump is a Manchurian candidate. Moby disclosed this in 2018 in an interview with Kyle Meredith of Louisiana's KFPK, and here's what he had to say. Moby said this, quote, "Yeah, so years of touring and spending time in DC and New York, I've managed to make a few friends in the intelligence community. And I guess this is about a year ago, this is going back to 2017, we were having dinner and they were really concerned. Partially based, not to go too much into the weeds, this Fusion GPS report on Trump essentially being run as a Russian agent. And there are some active and former CIA agents who they're truly concerned," Moby explained. So Moby is being solicited to take down Trump. He continued, quote, "They were like, this is the Manchurian candidate, like Putin has a Russian agent as the president of the United States. And so they passed on some information to me, and they said, like, they passed on some information to him? Yeah, they actually did, according to him. And they said, look, you have more of a social media following than any of us do. Can you please post some of these things just in a way that sort of puts it out there?" Can you believe how many of the people in Hollywood were probably drawn into this kind of nonsense? I don't know what happened with Robert De Niro, Bob Iger. I don't know. Whoever has influence, though, seems to be of interest to people that want to put out different narratives. Why the intelligence community specifically needed Moby, I don't know, but I do believe it sounds like he was approached. Maybe this time around, Hollywood realizes, no, they better just stick to dancing and singing and trying to make a good movie every now and then. After Donald Trump's upset victory in 2016, Hollywood got angry. Then it got organized. Quote, "It was a total shock." And then it released a huge burst of energy, a longtime Hollywood executive says, of Trump's first election win. People talked about the resistance and how we're going to fight and stand up for what we believe in. That was then. Now, in the wake of Trump's victory over Kamala Harris, who lives in Los Angeles' fancy Brentwood neighborhood with her entertainment lawyer husband, Doug Emhoff, the mood is stunned, deflated. Quote, "We formed protest groups in 2016, the executive continued. This time, there's none of that." Even in liberal Los Angeles, Trump's share of the vote rose 5% from 2020. He beat Harris in Beverly Hills. Proof that politics in the city are not monolithic, says a veteran agent. Quote, "There are pockets of folks who are quietly happier about the result than they would want anyone to know." Another veteran Hollywood executive who spent months working for the Harris campaign acknowledges that some people may be opting out of politics right now. But she believes this will change once Trump takes office and begins enacting policies that are antithetical to liberal values. But once some of the things start happening, like mass deportations or a ban on contraception or a national ban on abortion, you'll see a lot of activity in Hollywood, she says. Trump's victory landed at a fraught moment in Hollywood, which has faced one hardship after another in the past 4 years. The pandemic closed down movie theaters and halted TV and film production. Netflix's streaming revolution has completely upended the traditional movie and TV business. Strikes shut down Hollywood for much of 2023, and waves of cost cuts and restructurings have washed over studios like Paramount and Warner Brothers. Quote, "Survive till 25 became 2024's motto. Disney, of course, also had massive layoffs at their company, including at Pixar, wiping out some 15% of all Pixar's employees. Quote, "There's such a malaise in Hollywood," says the longtime executive. "The whole business is recessed, even depressed. People are worried about their careers, their jobs, their future." That's what I always say. This is a far different Hollywood than in 2016, when the worldwide box office raked in $36 billion, a whopping $10 billion higher than the best year so far this decade. It's hard to keep up the old Hollywood swagger when revenues are shrinking, and when cultural and political narratives are increasingly driven by online influencers, not Hollywood actors and musicians. Harris had two of the world's biggest celebrities in her corner, Beyoncé and Taylor Swift, but they proved to be less effective at mobilizing voters than podcasters like Joe Rogan and Theo Von. Maybe because the Republican candidate actually did do long-form interviews with Joe Rogan and Theo Von, as opposed to Kamala Harris, who didn't do that. It's not just about being a celebrity and saying, "Go vote for this person." It's about letting people know what you're all about. Against these forces, there are natural questions about how much of a fight Hollywood will be willing or able to put up against Trump. There have already been test cases, with Disney's Don't Say Gay confrontation with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis in 2022 being the most glaring example. The woke Disney label still sticks to the company, despite efforts by Bob Iger, Disney's chief executive, to turn the page. Quote, "Our number one goal is to entertain," he said on CNBC last year. "Infusing messaging as a sort of number one priority in our films and TV shows is not what we're up to." But Iger, a reliable Democratic donor for years, made headlines during the election for not giving any money to a candidate or party, a sign many believed that he wanted to avoid painting another political target on Disney or himself. The question becomes whether a weakened Hollywood will pull its punches when it comes to controversial or boundary-pushing content during a second Trump administration. The saga of The Apprentice, a film about the young Trump's close relationship with a mob lawyer Roy Cohn, felt like a trial run. After it received a positive response at the Cannes Film Festival in May, the Trump team threatened legal action and the film struggled for months to find a U.S. distributor. It was finally released in October and didn't make any difference in the outcome of the election, obviously. However large the cultural and political chasm between Hollywood and Trump may be, some believe the incoming administration could help ease some of the industry's problems, namely by replacing Biden regulators who are skeptical of M&A deals, mergers and acquisitions where they combine companies and then ultimately get greater operating efficiencies, meaning it's cheaper for them to operate, especially because they will lay people off. Trump is widely expected to replace Lina Khan, firebrand 35-year-old head of the FTC, and Jonathan Cantor, head of antitrust at the Department of Justice. Besides suing big tech companies, they've accused Live Nation, the concert and ticket group, of being a monopoly. David Zaslav, chief executive officer of Warner Brothers Discovery, recently said he expected to see a better deal-making environment under Trump, which, quote, "would provide a real positive and accelerated impact on companies like his." Zaslav's view is consistent with all the CEOs in the business right now, says another Hollywood agent. Quote, "If we don't have deals, then companies are just going to go out of business." Do I think it's true that these Hollywood entities are going to go out of business if they don't get to do deals? Well, streaming has created a lot of financial problems for Hollywood, and the cable business is forever changed. And as far as the cable companies are concerned, not in a good way. There's just no real viable way to make cable companies competitive with streaming services. Eventually, technology always changes distribution for content. And when distribution is changed, it changes the business model and the economics of the business. And when that changes, some people win, the new people usually, and some people lose. And that's the people that were getting changed and disrupted out of their normal businesses. So will some of those companies go out of business? well, they're going to lose a lot of their value and their pieces will be sold off. So yeah, they will go out of business if they can't do mergers. Not all of them, but some of them. There's also a lively post-election discussion about whether Hollywood needs to adjust its movie and TV offerings to reflect better the mood of the country. Quote, this election is a culture-moving event, and we both program to and reflect the culture, says a veteran agent. Quote, Hollywood wakes up over and over and over again to the audiences that it's not paying attention to. The object of many of the traditional Hollywood studios' ire, Netflix, may have positioned itself, wittingly or not, perfectly for the Trump 2.0 movement. In January 2024, the streaming service signed a 10-year deal with the WWE, the professional wrestling league with long ties to Trump. Linda McMahon, Trump's nominee for Secretary of Education, is a former chief executive of the company. And perma-tan former wrestler Hulk Hogan spoke at the 2024 Republican National Convention. Netflix will launch WWE's Raw, the longest-running weekly wrestling show, on the streaming service on January 6th. Quote, I always felt Hollywood just sells to itself, said Nick Khan, WWE's president, in a presentation with Netflix in December. We at WWE try to appeal to all 50 states. And from The Hollywood Reporter, why is Hollywood suddenly silent about Trump? Something strange has been happening to The Apprentice movie, which despite acute timelessness and an 83% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes, has been willed away by the industry. Most distribution executives would not touch it. Actors won't talk about it. The film shows how Cohn's bare-knuckle approach, that's Roy Cohn, shaped a young Trump. And whether entertainers fear validating Trump's relevance or worry about the repercussions for seeming critical of his power, they've sidestepped the subject. What if they made a movie about Roy Cohn and everyone was afraid of a blacklist? Such a reception metaphorizes current Hollywood. After deploying every weapon to stop Trump from regaining the White House, letting loose every Beyoncé performance, George Clooney op-ed, and Taylor Swift endorsement, the industry has pretty much gone silent since he won. Now, if I recall correctly, while a Beyoncé performance was implied by the Harris campaign, there wasn't actually a Beyoncé performance. That may have also been part of their problem, but whether or not she sang and danced and danced and sang, that doesn't seem like that was going to save the election for anybody. From the Daily Mail, First Lady Melania Trump signs Amazon movie deal as Jeff Bezos' own Prime rides MAGA red wave. Amazon will release a documentary on the life of former and future First Lady Melania Trump. Billionaire Amazon and Washington Post owner Jeff Bezos, it's so hard to believe they're actually doing this, but they are, is riding the lucrative red wave cash cow this year via his Prime Video service, partnering with Melania to release the film in theaters. So it's not just going to be for Prime. This is going to be out in theaters. The documentary is expected to hit the silver screen worldwide in the second half of 2025. Mrs. Trump will serve as the executive producer, with Fernando Solchin of New Element Media and Brett Ratner of Rat Pack Entertainment will serve as the film's director, according to a report from Fox News. Filming began in December 2024, and Prime Video will share more details on the project as the production progresses throughout the year. Melania Trump is incoming this month as the First Lady of the United States for the second time after her husband Donald Trump won his second non-consecutive presidential term. Quote, we're excited to share this truly unique story with our millions of customers around the world, an Amazon spokesperson said in a statement. The partnership with Bezos' production and entertainment company comes as he faces criticism for defending his paper's decision not to endorse anyone in the 2024 presidential election. He said it was the principled and right decision for the Post to not weigh in. The Melania Trump documentary will give viewers an unprecedented behind-the-scenes look at her life. The balance between Silicon Valley and Hollywood long has been tipping, in wealth, in social influence, even in fame. And now the proof, entertainers aware of their diminishing power or, through their silence, contributing to it. Or perhaps it's just cynical self-interest. If non-MAGA figures like Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos fear for their businesses and Trump the return, perhaps celebrities should too. After all, his popular support is that broad. Hollywood celebrities are, of course, looking out for their own interests, and maybe they're not getting as many tips from the intelligence community these days. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another story. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.